weeks, certainly by the first week in February, you'll get a trip folder that has all the details of the trip with lots of details in it, that should answer most of your questions. But if you have questions that are on your mind now, that's what this is for. So, as I'm talking, you can chime in or you can wait to the end to ask your questions, whatever's easier for you guys. But we're kind of doing some high level details today. And then, like I said, you'll get that folder that should cover everything you need to know. And it's going to have all the details, like information to leave behind for your family, where we'll be staying, our airline exact flight information, all of that will be in the folder that goes out to you guys in a couple weeks. So, but today there's a few things I wanted to make sure that that you guys are doing, or at least looking at, because time is of the essence on some of those things regarding the pre-cruise. So everyone has their passports, I believe. If not, tell me now. I believe I've heard from all of you that you've got them back. So so I'm not hearing from anyone. So I think we've confirmed that already. Obviously, that's critical. And right now, if you haven't already, I want to make sure that in the next couple of days that you do two things. You get the Norwegian app on your phone. Both travelers don't have to have it in your party, but one of you needs to have that app. And if you don't have the app already, or if you've not done this already, you'll have to, when you log in, you'll probably have to put that confirmation number. I send everyone out their confirmation number and cabin number. If you put that confirmation number in on the app, it'll sync your app up with the cruise, because and then it'll give you all the details on the cruise. You'll be seeing updates, and then you can actually book things, shore excursions, all that right there on the app. But that app's important as we get closer, because most of these cruise companies, that's how they'll do the health screening before the cruise. That's how you'll do like the day of check-in. That's how they send updates and notifications. So it's really important that you have that app downloaded. If you're, for some reason, struggling with it or have an issue, I would say go to George on that. But important that if you don't have the app already downloaded and have your reservation, your confirmation number synced up in that app, where the minute you get on the app, it shows our upcoming cruise on there. So right now, if you look at the app, it'll say 40 days out. It knows that cruise, and it'll give you things to do, highlights, things you can book, things about the ship, etc. So really important. You can also log on to ncl.com with your login and password and see it that way on your computer as well, if that's easier for you, if you want to, get a bigger view of things. But the app is important that everyone in the party have it. You'll be using it not only now, but you'll be using it as we board. So don't want anyone, not having it, not getting updates and notifications. There are a few things that you can do right now. And if you don't do them now, you may miss opportunities. One of them is book shore excursions. For those of you who maybe haven't cruised, all a shore excursion means is, an event that's hosted, or, it's hosted by the ship. It's not actually the ship employees, but they're using a third-party company, but they coordinate it all. So their tours, so it might be, snorkeling, or it might be, just a sightseeing tour, anything. But they're listed on the Norwegian app under shore excursions. They're by port, so you'll see some for Puerto Vallarta, some for Mazatlan, etc. And you can go on and look at all those shore excursions and see if you have an interest in any of those. It'll tell you the duration of the shore excursion. It'll tell you like kind of the intensity. So if it's like involves a lot of walking, or it'll tell you that, so you can decide if you want to go on any of those. These are completely at your option. You all do have a $50 onboard credit that can be applied towards shore excursions. These are additional purchases, though. They're not included in the cruise, and they're totally at your discretion. So you don't have to feel obligated to do any of them. But if you want to adventure and get off, on those days when we're in port and get off the ship, this is a great way to do that. And it's kind of like a hosted group coordinated by the ship. So, they'll tell you where to meet. they kind of take care of all the details for you. They get you together as a group on the pier. They make sure you get on the proper shuttle, all of that for these excursions. So they're all at varying costs. Some can get pretty expensive. Some are lower costs. But now would be the time to make sure you're looking at those. Some are already selling out. So if you have an interest, I wouldn't delay on those. If you think you really want to do one of those, I would, get online, look and find what you're interested in, and go ahead and get it booked. So you can book it right there on the app or on ncl.com. You will have to, provide a credit card, and then they'll keep that credit card tied to your account. So it's not going to charge you anything other than things you buy, like a shore excursion, etc. But now would be the time to do that. I wouldn't wait a few more weeks if you're really interested in those. So if you don't want to do a shore excursion, your options when we're in port would be, stay on the ship. It's a massive ship with plenty to do, lots of fun. Or you can venture out on your own. Just would recommend that maybe you do a little research about the destination to find out what might be available near the cruise port. And, if you venture out on your own, you're kind of on your own. You have to be a little more careful. So most of these ports have like a shopping area just to meander around if that's all you're interested in, is just getting off, stretching your legs, maybe doing some, souvenir shopping. That's probably readily available right there at the dock. But if you want to go out somewhere, you might want to have a plan for that if you're not going on a shore excursion that is sponsored by Norwegian. So totally your choice. It's your trip. You do what you want to do. I just wanted to make sure everyone knew today that if you're interested in some of those excursions, I would book those sooner versus later. They will sell out. There will be some still available once we get on board. So if you change your mind, say, I wish I would have done that, you can always check in at the shore excursions desk. But, I would say will have limited opportunity at that point. The other thing that we weren't really aware of when this was booked, but because we booked it as a group, we did receive 2 specialty dining restaurant credits for each room. So at night, we'll have dinner together in the main dining room, but you have the opportunity to go to one of the specialty restaurants. So there's a steakhouse, seafood, Italian, Mexican, teppanyaki, and others that are available on the ship. Really nice restaurants. These are at a charge. They're at an upcharge, but you have 2 reservations available. Here's what we're asking. Number one, they're really limited. So do those immediately, and you may find that if you're wanting to do one of those, you may only find that 9:00 at night is open for dinner. But get on those and do those right away. And we're asking you to only book those either the 21st, the 22nd, or the 23rd. So write that down when you get on and book those, if you want to book them. The 21st, 22nd, or 23rd. So the 18th, 19th, and 20th, we'll have a group dinner. Everyone will be there. And then the last day, everyone will be there. And then those 3 nights, if you want to use one of those specialty. So we're asking you to be with a group at least 5 nights and just take 2 nights for your specialty dining for dinner, because all of the other time is your time on the ship. There are no other group activities. So that's why we like to get together as a group for dinner, and often we, get together before or after for drinks as well. So you have those. You go on the app, you go under dining, and then you look at the restaurants. You can click reserve. It will tell you what times are open, and then you can go ahead and reserve those. And I would do that right away. It's at no charge. You're getting 2 of these at no charge. So if you did beyond the 2, we're asking you to only do the 2 so we can be together as a group for at least 5 nights of the trip. So recap there, I'm asking you to book those either the 21st, the 22nd, or 23rd. And then you can go on and see what's available and get that done. So those are the 2 things that I want to make sure you guys do right away, meaning in the next 3 days, I'd get that done if you're interested in those. If you don't want to do one of the specialty dinings, then you'll be in the main dining room every night with our group table. Great food, great selection. So sometimes the specialty restaurants maybe have a little bit, they have authentic food, based on whether they're Mexican, Italian, whatever. But sometimes it might be a little better, but sometimes it's pretty similar to the main dining room. It's just, a themed type of restaurant. But don't feel obligated to mess with that if you don't want to mess with it, or if you get on and you say, the one I liked, it was only available at 9, and I don't want to do that. And then the other thing is, and I'll send a reminder out, but 3 weeks before the cruise is when you can go in and complete your final registration with everything, where they'll need your passport information, and that's where you can print, your onboard ticket, your luggage tags, etc. So I'll send a reminder out. So you can't do that yet on the app or the website, but you do want to do that as soon as you can at that 3-week mark. So kind of put a reminder on your calendar. I'll also send a reminder out for you guys, but that's when you'll go on and actually finish up your reservation on there. And they'll need, like I said, your passport information, and that's where you'll be able to get, your barcode for boarding, or however they do it. It also will let you download that in the app, most likely. So that you can't do quite yet, but you can. We will remind you, and you need to do that on your own the 3 weeks before. We can't do it for you, so I'll make sure to remind you. And if you have questions, or if you're struggling with something, please reach out. But each of you has to do that for your stateroom. So for the couple that's going on your own. So you'll do that 3 weeks before the cruise, and we'll be sending out communication and talking before then. And that's about the same time you're going to get your folder with all the details in it. Any questions on those 3 things? Shore excursion, specialty dining. Any questions there? Nope. Good. All right. I would recommend that before you travel, that you watch an online video. If you just Google Norwegian or NCL Bliss videos, just type out Norwegian Bliss videos in Google, you'll see numerous videos come up. And most of these are hosted by travel agencies, but they're really, some of them are bad, some of them are really good. So, and some of them, there was, one on there that was an hour and 40 minutes that they go through every public space on the ship. It's obviously interesting to see, and you may think, I don't need to do that, but I'll tell you, once you get on these big mega ships, you'll realize you don't know what's where sometimes. The app helps out a lot on that, but if you watch these videos, then you'll kind of have some things you'll be able to say, hey, I want to make sure I go see that, or I don't want to miss that, or that looks like a neat space to hang out in, etc. So if you just Google NCL Bliss videos, you'll see that come up. And I'd recommend you do that before we get on board, just so you're as prepared as you can to be able to relax and have fun and enjoy every aspect of the ship itself. So we'll be talking about what to pack in the folder you get, but I know some of you may be wondering already, or maybe you're going to be buying a couple of things for the trip. The temps are as follows. In LA, where we're flying into and overnighting, and where the ship sails out of, in February, the low is 50 at night, the high is 68. So it's not super hot. So, you would want, something appropriate for the day of. And, our first day at sea will be about in that LA category of weather. Mazatlan is a low of 56 and a high of 79 in February. These are average temperatures. And then Puerto Vallarta is a high of 81, a low of 61. So the farther we go, the warmer it gets, obviously. So, on average, your daytimes throughout the trip will be, 75 to 85, but could be slightly cooler during the day. And then at nights, in the 50s and 60s. So just make sure if you're planning, what to bring, that you keep that in mind. Obviously, it's going to be really nicer, warmer weather than here, outdoor weather, obviously. But, it's not going to be 90s every day and night. So I want you to pack appropriately. And I will say to you guys that, some of these interior rooms on these cruise ships can be cold. So like the dining room, the theater, all that, they crank that air down because of the people. So just want to make sure when you go to think about packing that that you bring some appropriate things to stay warm enough. Some of you have been on cruises before, some may not, but sometimes people hear about formal nights on cruise ships. Everything on Norwegian is casual as you want it to be, generally speaking. They have a couple of dress up or don't dress up nights, so you'll see people on board in gowns and tuxedos, and you'll see people walking right beside them in flip-flops and shorts. So it's really up to you. There are a couple of things. The dining rooms at night do ask that you follow a smart casual dress code, which just means no swimsuits, no flip-flops. For the guys, it's a collared shirt, but you can be wearing shorts. You can be comfortable. It's just a smart casual, a little dressier than, maybe a t-shirt and flip-flops. But you don't have to dress up dinner. If you want to dress up, that's your choice. You can go on the itinerary, and I think you'll see a couple of dress-up nights on there. And, it'll be on the ship, announcements, etc. So, you'll be able to know when to do that if you want to. But no one needs to pack that unless you just want to. It's casual day and night. Just keep in mind, in the main dining room, it's a nice dining room at night. So for the guys, it would be like a collared shirt, nicer shorts or slacks, khakis, jeans, etc. And we'll cover more of that in the folder we send out. But if you have questions on that, you can, let me know. On that. I mainly wanted to cover the temperatures so that you guys could start to plan ahead a little bit and to know what would be, good to pack and maybe what wouldn't be. I know one question is always when we have these is, what out-of-pocket costs you may have so that you can be prepared for that. And our goal at Watts is to make sure this is a bonus trip for you. So we're working really hard to make sure you have minimal out-of-pocket costs. And so, but I do want to kind of go over those, what we are covering and what we're not, just so you have clarity on that. But our goal, like I said, is that you have really not many more out-of-pocket costs than you would during a normal week at home. Obviously, you won't be buying groceries or eating out at home. So, hopefully it'll stay in about the same budget you're used to. On our travel days to and from, meaning the days we fly, you will be responsible for your meals at your expense on those days. So if you want to eat in the airport, or if you want to eat once we land in LA, we don't land until the evening, but if you want to eat that night for dinner, you would be responsible for those expenses. During and on the return flight home, when we get off the ship, you'll be able to go grab a snack if you want one real early. We'll get off the ship early, but then when we get to the airport, those meals would be at your expense. The flights will not have meals, so don't anticipate that there will be a meal on the flight. But those would be pretty much your only meals out of pocket. While we're on board the ship, there's plenty of free food everywhere. Every meal is included. And then you all have the package for soda and the basic level alcohol package. Beer, basic wines. And I think it's just, not top shelf liquor. I apologize. I don't know exactly, but they'll be able to tell you once on, but we've got you covered there. If you want to upgrade to a top shelf, a cocktail, then that would be at your expense. But you can have a great time on the beverage and food package that is included in your trip at no expense at all on the ship. Now, not as these ships get bigger and more, fancier, there are certain things on the ship that do cost money, but I don't want you guys to feel like you'll have to pay for that. So there's a Starbucks on the ship that costs money. It's not included, but there's also plenty of free coffee, at the buffet and at other places. There's a couple of dessert places on the ship that are, the desserts are chargeable, but then there you'll see a massive amount of desserts on the buffet and in the restaurants that are included. So I'm just saying, if you want to spend additional money, you'll be able to, but no one should feel like they're obligated to or stuck with unexpected expenses once on board the ship. At the end of the cruise, you'll do your own transportation from the cruise port back to the airport. So you'll ride share. You guys can either group up in fours and share a cab or an Uber or Lyft. And that will be at your expense. So we have shuttles hired going out. So we have a shuttle that will pick us up at the airport and take us to our overnight hotel. And then we have a shuttle hired to come at the hotel and take us to the cruise terminal on the way when we're headed out. But on the return, when we get off the ship, and we'll go over all this, but everyone will be on their own to exit on their own. And then you guys can group up in fours and grab a taxi, an Uber, whatever. And that return transportation from the cruise port to LAX is at your expense. So just share the costs there and figure that out. Additional items on the ship that might cost you money, but again, this is your choice. If we already talked about shore excursions, if you wanted a spa service, there's a massive, I'm sure you can watch the videos, but there's a massive spa on the ship that offers all kinds of services, barber services, beauty shop, nail salon, full spa with massage, all kinds of different treatments. Obviously, if you want to do one of those would be at your expense. Shore excursions are your expense. And then a couple of the things, I know you guys have all seen the racetrack, that there is a charge for that. I think it's $15 or $16 a person per trip, or you can buy a package if you think you're going to be on it endlessly. You can buy a package to use it unlimited for the cruise. The laser tag is, I believe, an expense as well. So you will see some of those things like that are an expense. Hopefully those, if you want to do them, hopefully that won't, break the bank for you. But I just wanted you to be aware, kind of look that over if you're trying to budget how much you would need to. Now, once you're on the ship, everything is charged to your room. So it's a total cashless system. So, when you check in, you'll be asked to post a credit card to your room. And if you don't want to do that, you'll have to go down to the desk and post advance cash to be able to charge things to your room. Keep in mind, food and beverages will be covered. So this would just be like if you wanted to buy something in a gift shop, if you wanted to use the racetrack, laser tag, etc. All of that is charged to your room. It's a cashless system. You don't need to carry a purse or a wallet on the cruise ship. You have all that locked up in your safe in your room. All you need is that room key, and that's how everything will be charged. So, but like I said, you should be able to enjoy the cruise for the whole week without hardly any expense other than what I've mentioned. Recap, your meals to and from while at the airport or on those days of travel. And then you'll have a little bit of a rideshare expense at cab, Uber, whatever, going from the ship back to LAX on our return trip on the 25th. Any questions there? No, easy group. Don't be hitting me with a lot of questions later.
No, we're good.
All right.
No?
No, we're good.
All right. So I want to talk a little bit about, some of you may have a concern if you've not been on a cruise before about, will I get seasick? So we hope not. That's number one answer. But the Norwegian Bliss is a huge ship. It's, if you can imagine, 3 football fields long. That's how massive. It's like a floating city, 20 stories high. And so it's just a massive, massive ship. So most people are not impacted at all. So, just based on the size, and it's a new state-of-the-art ship, sometimes you're out there sailing and you don't even know you are, or you don't feel the ship moving. But it can, some people, it does impact or affect. And so this is something that you just need to make a decision before you go. You can purchase over-the-counter motion sickness medicine to have with you. Or if you're worried about it, I would reach out to your doctor, and they typically would prescribe this Transderm Scope patch. You can research it on the internet. It's a different type of medicine than the over-the-counter. Usually you put it right on your neck. You wear it for the whole cruise, and that is effective for most people to avoid any type of motion sickness. So like I said, it doesn't impact or affect most people, but if you're concerned or worried, I'd have a game plan ahead so that, there is a medical facility on the ship, but, you don't want to get sick and then have to deal with it. It'd be better to prevent it if you're concerned about that. But it's nothing like, riding a small boat, with waves up and down. Like I said, it's a massive state-of-the-art ship. You may feel movement, but for most people, it doesn't impact you. But if you're concerned or worried, research it. Like I said, there's two options. There's over-the-counter, but probably touted as a little more effective is the prescription patch Transderm Scope. Most people, if you have a relationship with your doctor, they wouldn't even have to see you. Just call them and say, hey, I'm going on a cruise. Do you mind to write me a script for this? And they will do that for you. But you may want to consider that if you've not cruised before, and if if you're worried about that. Any questions there?
No.
Okay. So real quick, I think most of you know it, but because I did send an email out, but if you're wondering, what's going to kind of happen, this will all be in the folder I send out. But Saturday, the 17th of February, our travel schedule will be that everyone goes to the airport on their own, St. Louis. So you're responsible for getting to the St. Louis airport on your own. We're asking everyone to arrive on site on the property at 1 p.m. On Saturday the 17th. You'll be able to park, and this will be in your folder, you'll be able to park in any of the long-term parking lots. There's airport lots A, B, or C, or there's long-term parking third party across the street, whichever you prefer. We're going to ask you to save your parking slip. You'll need it to get out of the lot, and then when you get out of the lot, we're going to ask you to get a receipt. And then that receipt, when you get back, you'll turn those into Carrie Allen, and she will reimburse everyone for their parking on the next paycheck. So parking will be initially out of your pocket and then be reimbursed. And you'll need a credit card to get out of that lot on the parking. Once you're in the parking lot, the shuttle bus, you'll watch for the shuttle bus. You get on the shuttle bus, you'll tell them American Airlines. They'll take you to the proper terminal. We're asking everybody to be inside the terminal between 1:15 and 1:30 Saturday afternoon. On airport property, 1 o'clock at the latest. It's going to take 15 to 30 minutes by the time you park and get the shuttle and get over. We want you in the airport, ready to check in by 1:30. I'll be waiting there for you, make sure everybody gets there, and assist everybody with their bag check and check in initially. Our flight departs at 3:30, and then we land in LA at 5:46 p.m. that night. Once we get to LA, we have shuttles lined up that will take us from the airport to the hotel. That's a little bit of a process. By the time you get off the plane at 5:46, go down to bag claim. We wait on everyone's bags. We track down our shuttle. So we're anticipating getting to the hotel between 7 and 7:30 that night. And then you guys can decide whether you want to go to dinner, whether you want to go to the bar, whatever. I'll be providing the hotel information in the folder, and then you guys can investigate, what's around there. But we are getting in kind of a little bit later in the evening there, and so we'll be, giving you those details. Any question? I know I'm just covering general things. There'll be more detail in your folder, but any general questions about that travel day Saturday when we head out? Nope. Okay.
How many bags can we get to check? One per person?
Yeah, it's one. Yeah, that's a great question. And that'll be in the folder. But yeah, it's one per person. I believe, I need to confirm that. I think it's one per person, and there's a charge if you have another one. And in the folder, we'll talk about carry-on size. All those details will be spelled out for you guys. But we do recommend that you have, I always travel, especially on a cruise, I travel with a carry-on and a checked bag. The carry-on would just have a little bit of everything, and then it would have your essentials like your medicine. Obviously, you don't ever want to pack money in a suitcase or anything like that. So anything that you don't want to check, that carry-on you typically keep with you on the flight, obviously. And then the next day when we go to the ship, we'll hand off our luggage to the porter once we arrive there. And your checked luggage won't get up to your stateroom for a few hours. So typically, you'll go ahead and keep that carry-on with you so that you've got at least a security that if you had a bag get lost, either via the flight, at the airport, or at the cruise terminal, you still would have your necessities in that carry-on bag. So I would encourage everybody to have some type of carry-on, whether it's a backpack, a small roller bag, and I'll give you those dimensions in the folder that we send out. But we do recommend, at least per couple, you have some kind of carry-on with you just as a security blanket, because, you know, if by chance we got on the flight, they lost your bag, and they didn't recover it by the next morning, you're on a cruise without your luggage. So, you know, for me, I pack a carry-on that's got, you know, a couple of shirts, a swimsuit, one pair of shorts, one pair of pants, you know, just as a security blanket. And then obviously anything you don't want to check would be in that carry-on as well. So it's a good question, George. And then if by chance you're going to showboat it and you think you need tons of luggage to display all your outfits, you know, if you have multiple checked bags, you're going to have fees for that. And I'll spell that out in the folder, you know, if there are fees for checked bags, etc. But I would say, you know, definitely one check bag per person should get it. You know, there are laundry service and dry clean service in the ship, but there are not self-serve washer dryers. So, but you know, you could send laundry off to be laundered or dry cleaned. You know, it is a little expensive. So, but if you wanted to do that, you know, if you want to pack light and just on Tuesday night or Wednesday, send a few things off and have them laundered for you so you can wear them again, that's certainly fine as well. They provide all those services on the ship. And then when we return, I'm sorry, the next morning, so Saturday we get there, we get to the hotel, we overnight at the hotel. Then the next morning, we have a shuttle lined up that will pick us up around 10:45 in the morning. So you can have breakfast at the hotel. I believe the hotel has a complimentary breakfast, but again, that'll be in the folder. I'll let you know if it doesn't. If it wouldn't, that would be on your own at your expense, but I believe it does. And then 10:45-ish, we'll get on the shuttles and head over to the cruise terminal. At that point, like I said, we'll offload our bags with a porter. They're going to take the bags. You're going to go through security, getting on board the ship, much like an airport. You're going to have your passport. You do your normal check-in stuff. It's not a group check-in, so we'll all be together walking as a group, but each of you will go individually to check in per stateroom. And then sometimes there's a delay in boarding, so you know, we may set in the waiting area of the cruise terminal. Sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's a couple hours. And then they usually, for these bigger ships, will call groups on by the group, but we'll try to get ahead of some of that. And then once on board, the buffet and other restaurants will be open for lunch. And then your staterooms, if they're not ready once we get on board, they're usually ready by early to mid-afternoon. So sometimes you get on the ship, but you can't get in your stateroom. But they'll make announcements, you know, again, another reason perhaps to have a small carry-on with you, in case your clothes don't show up until later. And then on our return day, our flight's the same day. The ship comes back to port that morning. And then, we head to the airport, mid-morning there. and then our flight gets in at 6:20 that night in St. Louis. So those are the main things I just wanted to cover today. So recap, I just want to make sure everybody's on the website, has the app. And if you're interested in short excursions, you're doing those. If you're interested in booking specialty dining, you're doing that for the nights of the 21st, 22nd, or the 23rd. Just 2 come with your package. We're asking you to only do 2. And we'll be together the other 5 nights. And you book all that on the app, and then go out there and watch the videos, etc. And then watch for this folder. I'll send an email when they go out. For those of you here in town, I'll just, we'll hand them out to you. But those of you who are out of town, they typically go to your home, but I'll tell you when it's been UPS so you can watch for it. And once you have the folder, if you still have questions, definitely reach out so that we can make sure. The other thing that we covered was just to make sure if you're interested or concerned about motion or seasickness, that you do a little research on that. And if you want to reach out to your doctor, do that sooner versus later, just so you're prepared for that if you want that. That's what I had today, guys. I'm excited. We have 40 days. If you get on the app, it'll do the countdown for you. So I know everybody's keyed up to have a great time. It's a phenomenal ship. If you watch the video, you just be amazed. It's literally like a massive city. And so there's lots to do. And I think we're going to have great ports in Mexico. So should be a beautiful cruise. Any questions today?
I had one.
Yeah.
I saw on the app that it said that there was like 150 minutes of Wi-Fi. What is that? How do they do that?
Yeah, I don't know. It's so these are things that got booked in this package that we did as a group package, but they weren't communicated to me. So I'm seeing what you guys are seeing, unfortunately. I'm glad to have it. So, there are Wi-Fi packages that you can do on the app, or you can do them once on board. So, if you have no Wi-Fi, you have literally no communication when the ship's out at sea, no cell phone, and really no email, no texting, no nothing. So a lot of you want some source of Wi-Fi on the ship. You're getting 150 minutes free. What I don't know, Caleb, is what does it roll to if you blow through that? So if you're just going to check emails or whatever, that may be more than ample. Or if you just want to text your family or friends randomly, but if you're going to try to stream videos or constant communication, or if you're going to try to use a WhatsApp or FaceTime or anything like that to communicate, video chat, whatever, then you're probably going to blow through those. So there are packages that you guys can buy above and beyond that, depending on what your needs are. You can wait. That's something you can wait to get on board. So like if you blow through your 150, I know you can buy more packages right there on the app in your stateroom. But if you're going to use more than that, you may want to upgrade and just have to kind of investigate on the app to see what it's saying the costs are for Wi-Fi upgrades. Everybody has that 150. I think it's per stateroom. Is that right? Is that how you guys are reading that? Yeah. So it's per stateroom, not per person. When you get there, it'll have you log on to the internet, put in your stateroom, etc., and then it's going to give you the options for the internet. You can pre-book them. Sometimes on the websites you'll see like it's cheaper if you pre-book it before you get on the ship. So if you know, hey man, I'm going to use 30 minutes a day or of internet access or video chats or whatever, I'm gonna need to blow through. I'm gonna blow through that 150 minutes. So if you know it, you may want to book it ahead because it may be a better value to do so. But it's on the app how to book it. You're getting credit for that first 150 minutes. What I don't know, Caleb, is how they're giving you credit.
Yeah.
Like if you pick a package, how they're giving you that. So you can you can online chat with them and ask that question on the website, or you can call call NCL and ask that question. If you guys are all struggling, I can get on board, but I mean, I'm going to be making the same call you guys would. So I do know one thing is you can always add Wi-Fi once you're on the ship. This is not something you have to do ahead of time. And if you think that's 150 is enough and you end up blowing through it, you'll be able to add, you know, a day or two of Wi-Fi if you needed to towards the end. Any other questions?
No, sir.
Okay, guys. Well, I'm excited for everyone. I'm excited to spend time with all of you. I'm excited for you guys to buy me maybe a premium drink that's not in the package. Yeah, TJ. Looking forward to it. Like I said, when I send the folder out, I'll let you guys know it's on the way. Watch for that. Read through it carefully. And then if you have questions beyond that, please don't hesitate to ask so that we can get you totally comfortable with this trip and you guys making sure that you got everything covered on your end. But the folder will have all of the pertinent information, also leave behind information for your family or friends. You know, if you want them to know where you're staying, et cetera, what flight you're on, all that, that'll all be in the departure folder that we sent out to you guys. So, all right, guys, that's what I had. We'll be back in touch. And again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pat.